What's up, y'all? It's Lawrence St. Victor. This is Just Geeking Out, and right now I want to talk about the Penguin, man. We got 4 episodes. We're at the halfway point. This isn't going to be some big review. I'm just going to share my thoughts of just watching this series and how dope it's been, man. I love everything about this series. I love everything about the Matt Reeves universe of Batman. For me, the Batman is the best Batman film ever made. I said it. Fight me. It is for me. It really is. Now, Christopher Nolan is a god tier director. He makes nothing but just cinematic works of art. So will I say the Batman is a better movie than The Dark Knight? No, The Dark Knight is an amazing film. But I'll say the Batman is a better Batman movie than The Dark Knight, if you understand what I'm saying. Like the Batman was loaded with Catwoman, Penguin, we had the Falcons, we got the Riddler, we have so many other characters in it, yet it still is about Batman and Bruce Wayne and his journey. And Matt Reeves didn't take the bait of falling in love with the villains more than the hero. And I loved everything about the tone, the fact it was like a city that rained all the time, reminded me of The Crow. And I love just it felt comic booky, like Batman Begins kind of had that comic booky aesthetic too. And then Nolan with the sequels kind of went extremely real world, which was dope for that series. But what I love is that Matt Reeves found a way to take that kind of comic booky gothic, but set it in the real world. So it's the real world, but it's slightly fantastical too, which I love. It reminds me of Batman the Animated Series, how it was the real world, but it wasn't. And the Penguin doesn't disappoint. If you love The Sopranos and those type of series, I mean, this is for you. We follow Oswald Cobblepot right after the events of the Batman. So Riddler kind of did what he set out to do. He floods Gotham, causes chaos. So we get to see the city in ruins, and with Falcone dead, we get to see like there's an open spot for the mafia in Gotham, for the crime. You got the Falcones, and they're kind of like assembling the troops. And then you got the Maronis in jail. There's an open spot, and of course Oswald Oz wants that spot. So it kind of opens up with the Penguin confronting, Alberto, the son. And I won't recap the entire 4 episodes, but Penguin kills him. Penguin's tired of feeling disrespected. I shouldn't call him Penguin because he hates that. Tired of feeling disrespected. And he kills Alberto, which sets off a chain of events. We have Sophia. She comes home from freaking Arkham Asylum. She's the hangman killer. And if that sounds familiar to you Batman heads, that's straight up Long Halloween. And I love how they take things from the comics but aren't making a straight up adaptation, which I think that works way better than trying to make an adaptation of something page for page. If you're a fan, you already know what's going to happen, and if you're not, it can feel a bit convoluted. So inspired by, which is this. So she's the hangman killer, or is she? And we see how Penguin is using the Falcons, using the Maronis to try to like get his space in Gotham. And in that first episode, as he's moving Alberto's body, he bumps into Vic, which is very interesting. Man, he bumps into this teenager, a group of teenagers trying to like, I guess, steal the wheels off his car, steal his car. And Penguin kind of shoots at him, and he winds up getting Vic. And after an episode, you see like Penguin takes Vic under his wing. And as the episodes progress, especially the episode 3, which I loved, which we get to see who Vic is, Vic kind of becomes Penguin's sidekick. So in this Matt Reeves Batman world, whether it's the Riddler, Catwoman, Penguin, or Batman, they're all heroes of their own story, right? They're all these marginalized people who went through trauma. Penguin, they call him Penguin as a sign of disrespect. Oswald, the people like Oswald were never meant to be ahead. So he's the hero of his own story. just like Batman, just like Catwoman, just like Riddler in the movie. He was speaking up for all those who were unseen and slipped through the system and was in foster care and never had a chance. He was speaking for them. So what's just cool is in this series, the Penguin, and he's the hero of his story, he bumps into a kid like stealing the wheels off his car. And that kid becomes his sidekick, which is, I mean, I don't know if they know it or not. They had to. That's straight up like Jason Todd Robin. So like Penguin has his Robin, which is so dope. And Vic is an amazing character. He has a stutter, but this actor is so good because you can watch when the stutter comes up and how it comes up for different people. It's super specific. In episode 3, oh man, I know I'm flying through this. It's so good. I'm not going to recap every episode, just give you my thoughts. So, episode 3, Chef's Kiss, man. Chef's freaking kiss. Because you had episode 1 that's kind of setting, setting the table, setting the stakes of the series with Penguin having to lie, maneuver, and manipulate to get all the chess pieces in order. What's amazing about Oz and Colin Farrell's a beast. I'll get to episode 3 in a second. What's amazing about Oz is that everyone knows he's a liar. Everyone knows he can't be trusted. Yet he's still able to chess piece these people. It's almost like them knowing he's a liar allows them to underestimate him, which he completely uses to his advantage. It's so freaking dope. Okay, so episode 3, we get to see who Victor is. Let me go back a little bit. So episode 1 and 2, it sets the table. We get Sophia Falcone. She comes home from Arkham Asylum. We get to see her dynamic with Oz and her dynamic with the rest of the family. She's looked at like she's a murderer, psychopath, and they treat her that way. She's been locked up for 10 years. And her and Oz's relationship is very strained. We'll find out later. And basically, she thinks that Oz killed her brother. And she's out to kill him. Thank God for Vic. Comes through, saves the day. But that was all part of the plan. Vic drives a car into like their estate while she has Oz at gunpoint. And in the trunk was Alberto. And it made it look like the Maroni did it from jail. He made the hit, which is all part of the plan. Anyway, he gets on Sophia's sort of good side, Oz does, and he follows through with his plans, sort of, kind of. Anyway, episode 3, we get Vic's backstory, and we get to see how the events in the Batman, what the Riddler did by flooding the city, how it affected the regular person. And it's straight up horrific. I mean, it's horrific. And, trigger warning for those of you dealing with all the flash floods and the hurricanes in Florida, in that area, because, I mean, this kind of shows you what that can look like. It's completely devastating. And you see it from Vic's point of view. He's on a rooftop with his friends in a safe enough space. And they feel those bombs going off. And then they just see the water come in. And it goes right into his apartment complex, his project building. And you just see how many people it unalived. And we didn't get to see it from that point of view. Usually in Batman films or superhero films in general, there's a lot of calamity, but we never get to see it from the regular citizen's point of view, how terrifying that is. Not too different than Man of Steel in the beginning of Batman v Superman, where we on the ground of that. Yeah, man. And what I loved about it is we never really get a chance to see what it's like to just live in Gotham as a regular person, making do for your family. Usually in the comic books, those are the people that become the victims that Batman has to go avenge. And we got to see it, and Vic is pretty much alone. And, Oz can sense it, and he's manipulating him from the beginning. And in this episode, and I think he means it when he talks about people like us and talks about his father, Vic's father, and how he's the kind of guy who worked for everything he had. And in Gotham, that's never enough. And you can just see him manipulating Vic, man. So For those of you who think that Vic had a choice to stay, I don't know if he did. I think Penguin got his hooks in him and manipulated him, and that's what he's good at. This was like the best episode for me. Until episode 4. Yo, episode 4, for those of you who wasn't sure if you want to continue with this series, let me tell you something. You have to, because episode 4 is amazing. It's amazing. Spark Notes, man. Sophia, at the end of episode 3, when Vic is trying to figure out whether he's going to leave Oz and leave Gotham with his girlfriend or stay, and you get this wonderful scene, man. Oh my gosh, the Penguin got the gun to Vic, and he's like, "This is how I make you feel. I'm holding you captive now. I'm holding you against your will." And he sons Vic so well, but it's also so manipulative of the Penguin. Or is it? Does he really mean that? Or was that just a tactic? I don't know, but it works. Because Penguin is held at gunpoint by Marone's wife and her henchmen, because he got caught pretty much selling drugs with Sophia, not knowing like it's all part of the plan. Anyway, Vic comes in and drives his car into the henchman, gets ready to drive off. Penguin gets in the car. Vic says, "What about Sophia?" And Penguin's like, "Leave her." And I'm watching like, "Leave her, dude, you're crazy." Until episode 4, where you see the beginning of that, they leave her, but pretty much Sophia learns everything being held at gunpoint. That Penguin killed Albroto, that he's been working with the Maronis, and and she hits her head and she calls for help from her therapist ish, and then we get this wonderful backstory of how she was this wonderful daughter, you know, and how she becomes who she becomes. She's holding this fundraiser for her mother who unalived herself when she was a child. And Summer Gleason, for those of you who watch Batman the Animated Series or read the comics, you know Summer Gleason is a reporter or a news anchor, depending on what you watch from. She comes up to her and basically like a series of similar deaths are happening at her father's club, the Underground Club. And it just makes Sophia think about her mother and how she unalived herself and how some things didn't connect. You know, she was hung, but she had defensive wounds. And the reporter later on tells her that, Summer tells her that. So it forces Sophia to confront her father, played by Jeremy Strong. I love John Turturro. You know, he must not have been available. I would have loved to see him in this series, but if we didn't, we got a beast of an actor to come in his place. Fantastic. And she confronts her father, and you just see it's clear he did it. Clear he did it and has done it. And he looks at her with such disappointment. She's pissed off because the only way he found out she was talking to the reporter is because Penguin told. And on their way driving from the birthday party, she gets arrested and pretty much blamed for all the murders. Her father pinned it on her and sends her to Arkham Asylum. And that's when this series and this universe becomes, I don't care, the Batman universe. Because it feels like Sopranos. It feels like realistic. And then she goes to Arkham Asylum and it doesn't lose its comic book feel. It's not just some mental hospital super realistically done. No, everything about this feels like the comics. It feels like the Arkham Asylum video game. Without going so far, it becomes so fantastical it doesn't feel real, but it's not so super realistic it doesn't feel like Batman anymore. You're in the women's side of Arkham Asylum, and you can totally see Harley Quinn being in here. And the Harley Quinn, not like the super realistic version, the Harley Quinn. You can totally see Poison Ivy being in here. Although he hasn't established powers, but you get what I'm saying. You can totally see like the comics in here. And she is completely sane and completely innocent. But let me tell you, 6 months in Arkham Asylum will start to drive you crazy. And her family manipulated her documents. So that 6 months, 6 months go on trial, turned into her being in there for 10 years. So this episode is also giving you a Gotham before Batman, because the Batman he's only 2 years in the game when that takes place. So you get to see Arkham Asylum like you've never seen it before, man. And it is so dope. Her roommate's Magpie. For those of you, in the comics, Magpie at one point was the bad guy that Batman and Superman first teamed up on in the 80s. But she sounds like Harley Quinn. So she kind of has that like Batman over the top villain voice, and it fits in this series without going too far. They ride that line perfectly, man. So it just makes me even more excited for this universe to see like they can't do like Mr. Freeze, but they can do a version of Mr. Freeze that's not so super real. It's not him. You know what I'm saying? Like they ride that line perfectly. And you get to see how an innocent woman can descend into madness. And we get back to present day, and it's like an awakening. And she pretty much, at the end of the episode, sans her niece, who's probably like the age she was when she saw her mother unalive herself, she kills her entire family by gassing them to death on some Joker tip. Not really, but gassing them to death. And she brings her niece into the, what is it? The greenhouse. Brings her niece into the greenhouse, fresh air. And that's where her niece sleeps. And everyone else is inside dead, except her uncle, one of her uncles. And she leaves him alive because she got business for him. So, like, this series is just chef's kiss. I know some people didn't get past episode 1. And by this point, you probably didn't watch this whole video because you'd have no interest if you didn't get past episode 1. But man, I just want to take some time and throw some love to this series, man. It is doing the geeky lord's work. It is so freaking good. The performances are all great. Colin Farrell, unrecognizable. And for those of you saying like, why didn't they just cast an actor who looked like that? It's acting. Acting's about transforming. They also have amazing makeup departments who do special and practical effects. So like everyone gets to flex on this. Like people studied years to make that type of masks and bodysuits to transform someone. So let all these artists cook. Why are you mad? Let them cook. Jeez. Anyway, yo, that's all I got for this. Just want to talk about the Penguin real quick. Right now, first 4 episodes, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. It's a 10 out of 10. Like I couldn't have asked for something better than this because I didn't even know to ask for an HBO Penguin series done in the style of The Wire and Sopranos. Like that wasn't even on my radar to ask. So the fact that we got it, yo, it's dope, and it just wonders for the Batman because who knows when that's coming out? I don't know. They haven't even started shooting it yet. I think 2026. Hopefully, we get another series in the vein of this, in the world of the Batman. I would love a freaking Gordon series, man. Jeffrey Wright, and it's just the police department. And it can be before, it can be a prequel before the events of Batman, how this cop just tried to keep Gotham together. I don't care. I'm in love with this world. Anyway, I'm rambling. Yo, let's jump back on at the end of the series. We have 4 episodes left. And they said Pattinson's not going to make an appearance, but who knows? But if he doesn't, honestly, we don't need him to. This joint stands on its own. Anyway, yo, this is a new channel, so show me some love by like and subscribing. I got some toy reviews. Gonna do more of this content. Gonna figure it out. But anyway, I'll be back. Same bat time, same bat channel.